r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. Why didn't he or she get a second date? She brought her kid to the restaurant without actually telling me she had a kid. Then she saw her friend outside. She got up and left me with her child, who I had never met, and had a 15-minute conversation outside. He talked about how much cocaine he did with his entertainment lawyer friends. He suggested doing some coke together. He asked me if I had any. It was a Wednesday lunchtime date. A friend of mine told me about a date she went on. It was great. They both liked each other, made plans for a second date, lots of chemistry. As they left the restaurant, she slipped on some snow and ice, twisting her ankle. He just laughed at her and walked away. He texted later about the second date. She ignored him. Not me, but my buddy went on a date. She showed up roughly 6-7 months pregnant. After going out of town for the weekend, I dropped her off at her friend's house, which was an hour away from where I lived at the time. I told her I had to get back home to get ready for work the next day. She was begging me to stay and hang out some more. I kept saying I had to get home. After about 15 minutes, I went to go to my car to leave. She hopped onto the hood of my car and refused to get off. After 10 more minutes of trying to talk her down, I gave up, got into my car, locked the doors, tilted the seat back, and acted like I was taking a nap. She sat on my hood for another 20 minutes or so before it started to rain. That's what finally got her off of my car. Fine, go home, see if I care, or something whiny like that, and she stormed off into her friend's house. Never contacted her again. She ordered an obnoxious amount of expensive food while I barely ate one order. She then passed me the bill, thinking I'm dumb. Flagged the waiter and asked them to rewrite the order as separate bills. Paid for mine and left her there. Her apartment looked like it was ransacked by wolves. I'm not even exaggerating. This was a city apartment, so I'm quite sure there were no wolves. Most of the furniture was knocked over. Boxes everywhere. No clear delineation between laundry, food, and garbage. I didn't know he thought it was a date, and I'm not gay. I have a very common last name. She had the same last name. Date went well. She said she couldn't go out with me on a second date though, because it felt too weird. She explained that both her father and her brother also have the same first name as me, so all three of us have the exact same first and last name. I was like, well yeah, that would be weird for me too. And we actually ended up staying pretty good friends after. Casually mentioned that she lost custody of her 5 kids. Seemed like a red flag. She was one of the cutest girls I met online, and we had a nice dinner. Then she asked if I wanted to meet up with her friends for more drinks down the street. I thought that was fine, seemed like a good sign she wanted to keep hanging out. However, she didn't say another word to me the rest of the night once we met up with them. I just sat and listened to their conversation for an hour, then awkwardly left. We were eating dinner at a mall restaurant, maybe Hard Rock. Her treat. We were making small talk, and she said something blatantly racist. I said something about how I don't think that way, and she pointed to a table nearby and said, I suppose you think that is cute. In reference to a nearby black couple's baby. I finished my free food and never saw her again. Brought her friend along and expected me to pay the entire tab. I was mugged and she said, why didn't you fight back? Like bitch, I'm not Batman. The fudge you mean? Her ex just happened to be walking outside the restaurant we were at, and she invited him in to sit at our table and have dinner with us. I protested, but I had to take a leak and the food was arriving. So I went to the bathroom. When I came back, the food, date, and date sex had all disappeared. The time between this dude sitting at our table, the food arriving, and me coming back from the bathroom was less than 5 minutes. We went to a little tea pastry shop. Kept talking about his ex non-stop, showing pictures of her etc. Forgot his wallet because of his depression. Then when he realized I was not engaging that much in the conversation, asked me if I friend-zoned him. I answered no. Then asked if I wanted to have sex. No thanks. As soon as we finished hanging out, she got into a guy's truck to go on a date with him. We sat down for a few drinks and food at a beer garden. She immediately proceeded to tell me how much men love her, men want to be with her, men are obsessed with her, I should be lucky I'm getting this time with her, she's very high maintenance, and then a group of her friends showed up shortly after to tell me essentially the same thing, as they went to go sit at a table about 5 feet away. It was so strange. I still don't know if that was supposed to Jedi mind trick me into being obsessed with her or something, but it set off enough alarms. This was also before any drinks were involved. Took out a girl who I'd known for about a dozen years and had a crush on for the first few years when we met in our early 20s. We reconnected after not having seen each other in a while, felt like something was there, so I asked her out. We planned a late morning hike with our dogs then lunch. I get there and she's not ready because she's badly hungover. I wait around over an hour while she gets ready. She brings a flask of whiskey on the hike. At lunch we do a dog-friendly bar patio. She orders multiple drinks. Our waitress pulls me aside to tell me she's intentionally not coming by the table so the date can't order more. She makes quick friends with another table and gets them to buy her a couple shots. On the drive home, she asks me to stop by the liquor store. I refuse, and she tells me if I don't she'll drive to one after I drop her off, so I stop by the store to prevent her killing someone. I drop her off, and she asks if I wanna come in and hang out. I say no and drive off. 2 weeks later, when she hits me up, I tell her I'm not interested. That was also the end of our friendship. Went on a date, who was about 100 pounds heavier than her picture looked. Berated the waitstaff over minor things, didn't leave them a tip. And then she had the audacity to say that I wasn't a good match for her. Which was just fine with me honestly. Went back the second day to make sure that the waiter got $20 because she was stiff the night before. I told him beforehand that I have severe food allergies and therefore I don't eat in restaurants much. I was down for any other activity, but first date is a bad time to try out a new restaurant if you're allergic to living. For some reason he deeply resented this and spent the whole date making passive-aggressive jokes about how people with food allergies suck and probably shouldn't be alive. Dude slapped my stomach and told me to lay off the burgers. I got followed after leaving the meetup place for like 6 blocks until I decided to pull into a Target and just hang out there for a while until I was sure he was gone. Definitely the scariest experience I've ever had. Told me he initially approached me because I looked submissive, then said he was able to clean up after himself but didn't want to anymore. Also, complained about previous dates. He showed up to pick me up wearing overalls. Nothing else. No shirt, no shoes. I wasn't dressed up a lot, but I was dressed nice. While we were chatting online and over the phone she mentioned multiple times how she hates lies and she would never forgive a liar. She made such a big deal about this that I thought, wow, she probably had some really bad experience with lies before because she mentions this a lot. On our first date, she confessed that she lied about her age. Took me to a Mexican restaurant. Got the complimentary chips and salsa, kept telling the waiter we needed more time. Once we ate all the chips and salsa, he decided it was time to leave. Dude just wanted free chips and salsa. Back when I was dating, it almost always boiled down to the same thing. They were happy to talk about themselves, but didn't know how to talk about anything else. You could be Aphrodite in the flesh, but I'm not going on a second date if you don't know how to hold a conversation. She hit me. I got up and walked out immediately without a word. Hey, if a guy did that to a girl, she should leave immediately too. She brought her husband in an urn. Then showed me her kids, who were all stuffed animals. She didn't tell me she was engaged. She didn't speak English. I didn't speak Korean. Good pizza though. How did that date even get set up in the first place? Blind date when I was studying abroad. I was told she spoke some. She was apparently told the same. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.